Hey, what's up? Hope everyone's doing all right. So we are on week 49 out of 50. So if we go through about 14 pages in the King James Version of the Bible, at least mine, and you go through about or you go through one section a week, you get through the Bible in about 50 weeks. So I've divided the Bible into 50 different sections, and we are on week 49, and this one is Hebrews through Jude. And so this is the last of the letters, and I'm pretty sure these are all pretty much the non-Paul letters, right? So you start off in Hebrew, and I don't know who the author in Hebrews is. Um, so there's like a reflection. That's weird. Oh, it's the light off my cross. Oh, it's tripping me out. Um, I'm not sure who the author of Hebrews is, or any. I mean, John. I don't know which John is. John is a really popular name, so I don't know which John is the author of John. If it's the same as the author of the oh sorry the wow. I'm not sure if it's the one that does Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I'm not sure if it's that John. Sorry, one of the Gospels. I don't know if it's the same John that's in the Gospels or not, um, but it's hard to know exactly which one they are. And so it is, yes, like I said, it's the non Paul letters. I'm pretty sure all the letters before that are actually from Paul. And I think Paul he says that these are his letters and that he's the author of them. And so I'm pretty sure he gets credited, or he credits himself, or he lets everyone know that those are his letters. And so um, the Hebrews, you start off Hebrews is it feels a little different when it's written than the other letters. I actually like Hebrews a lot. It's one of my favorite of all the letters. The way that it's written, the way that it reads, it's just very eloquently written, and it's just nice to read, and it just really easy to think about, and the ideas are relatively easy. Although I do have this idea, or I feel like the Bible is like as like not 100%, but as a main idea, it's more complicated at the ending, and it's less complicated in the beginning, which would make sense. But it just gets more and more complicated and more hard to understand. Not completely. There's definitely parts that don't follow that rule. Um, but like the New Test or the Old Testament, I think is it gets easy. It's easier in the beginning, and it gets harder and harder to understand as you get towards the Old Testament. And then when you get to the prophets, and then you get to like their prophesying and the revelations and stuff like that, those are really hard to understand exactly what's going on there. And so the New Testament, the Gospels are a lot easier. The letters are harder to understand, I think, in some ways. And then Revelation is like super hard. And so you have like this kind of just the way that it's written. And then as a rule too, I think that the New Testament is a lot easier or a lot harder to understand than the Old Testament. The Old Testament, I think, is easier to understand. So you kind of get this thing where as you progress through the Bible, it gets more and more complicated, more harder to understand. And I feel like that would make sense. Sorry, I just have like this reflection on the cross that keeps like hitting the camera on the phone. And so the main thing that I had on Monday is them that sin rebuke before all that others may fear. And so this is hard because so you have in the Bible where it talks about you know um, not to judge others, right? But then this is saying that you should and then if you do judge others, you have like a certain way to talk to them, and that's um, talk to them, go to them face to face first, and then after you go to them face to face first, and you bring another person with you, and then so at the hand of two or more witnesses, things can be understood. And then if they don't understand those two witnesses, then you come and you bring the congregation. And so this talks about rebuking people from the church. I would imagine this is after you do the one-on-one, and then the two-on-one, and then you bring it to the church. But you do kind of want to do this, and so maybe it's just reminding you that this is something that you want to do, and you want to rebuke before all, and so others they may fear. And so who are they fearing? Are they fearing God? Are they fearing man? Like who are they fearing? And I think that they're just all the above, right? They're fearing God, they're fearing man, they're fearing, so that they can fear in general, so there can be like a repercussion for their actions, and so that this provides a way of curbing bad behaviors and changing behaviors in general. And so Tuesday, the theme that I have is be subject to higher powers and to them that rule over you. And so there's like a lot of this rebellion that happens, and I think a lot of people, a lot of people that try to, claim that they're Christians, like had like this um, kind of like this tread on me. I'm a Christian, God, my gun, and my Bible. Those are things that I go by. But God's telling you like not to rebel against the authorities. And so I find it, a little strange sometimes to have this idea of, God, my gun, and my Bible. Those are the kind of things that I live by. But if you're living by God, you're also living by the rules of the country. And so, depending on what the country wants you to do, but also, if the country's going against what God wants, then you shouldn't be doing what the country wants. It should be like, what, dude, this thing is super bothering me. I'm getting like this gnarly reflection off my cross onto the camera, and it's like really bothering no matter where I put it. It's just stressing me out. And so, you have this thing where, what's like matters the most to you, is it God or your country? And some people, they put these things in like the incorrect order. But if God means the most to you, then you should be obeying the laws of the land. But if the laws of the land are contrary to the laws of God, then the laws of God supersede the laws of the country. And I think this is just like spoken in different ways in the Bible and different examples. And so you just got to give it context of the whole entire Bible and what all the rules and all the law says and what God says, and come to the conclusion of what's the best path forward. And so Wednesday I have diligently seek the Lord. And so it talks about like if you keep seeking God, then God will find you. Those that seek Him, God will find. He will hear those that seek Him. And so you want to keep diligently seeking the Lord. But it also says that God doesn't choose. You didn't choose God. God chose you. And God might chose you because you keep seeking Him, and just kind of the behaviors that you have. And I think there's different times too. Like God chooses, at the end of the day, God chooses you. And the thing is like, how does God choose you? Like by what things do you do that God chooses you? And I think it's different for every person. And what God wants of every person is different because every person is different. And the strengths that they have and the environment that they have and the people around them and the life that they live is different. And so the thing that God's looking for, and as far as who He chooses, is different. So it's like, well, God chose me because I have faith. Well, maybe that's because that's your calling. And so in your calling that God has, and the way that God made you, and the disposition that you have naturally, the fact that you have a lot of faith and you're struggling with these other things that you can surpass Him, this is why God chose you. So God chooses different people to based on different criteria. I don't think He has the same criteria for all of us since we're different. So He has different criteria for all of us. At least that would make sense to me. I don't know for sure, but I think that's kind of I think that's pretty much what's happening. And so, but you definitely diligently want to seek the Lord. If God chooses you, or how exactly God chooses you, and what that looks like is important, but it's irrelevant in the fact that you still want to seek Him. So regardless of how God chose you, and why He chose you, and what merits He uses to choose you, you still want to diligently seek Him. That's something that you want to strive for, and something that's important that you do. Why God does the things that He does is, I think sometimes it's helpful to know, but sometimes it's not helpful to know, and sometimes it's irrelevant. And if it's irrelevant, you still want to follow these rules regardless of why it is. And it's nice to know, for some people, knowing the why will help them, but for some people, knowing the why might not help them. They might not be able to have a full understanding of the why in their life, and they might not be able to go through things or have not gone through things in order for them to understand the why. And so for the why to be presented to them might not be beneficial at that time. And so you just want to do it regardless of the why. And maybe one day the why will be given to you when you're ready for it. And if you are ready for it, I don't see why God wouldn't give you the why unless He wants you to work on something else, or is coming in, with time, and or just too much pain, or there's other things He wants you to do. There's more things on the agenda, different things on the agenda than the why of why He wants you to do things. And a lot of it might just be, sometimes it might just be a test for you to do something regardless if you know why or not. And so Thursday I have the main theme I have for Thursday to try to think about is above all swear not. And so this is important. Obviously, I had to go to jury duty like a few years back, and luckily I was blessed and I didn't have to go to the trial. But I remember thinking, I was like, they're gonna make me like swear that I'm gonna tell the truth and think about the truth on the Bible, which I think is just, I don't know the right word to use, maybe ironic, or it's just silly, the fact that you're swearing on a Bible and the Bible tells you not to swear at all. So it just shows like the absolute non-understanding that people have of the Bible and authority. I think Why would you be swearing on a Bible when the Bible tells you not to swear at all? And so you're like on the Bible and you're swearing on the Bible to be presidency or being a judge or when you're a jury and all these things you have to do when you're inside the authority in America. But the Bible is telling you above all, like, swear not. And it's telling you like three different occasions in the Bible it tells you not to do that. And so I just remember going to jury duty. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much. I'm gonna have to go to jail because I don't want to swear. Because the Bible tells you not to swear. Luckily, I didn't have to go to trial, so I didn't have to swear or anything. But that would have been a bummer. And sometimes, I stress about these things. Like, do you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth? And it's like, well, I don't swear because it's not, the Bible tells you not to swear. And so, um, I mean, it's difficult, but a lot of things in life are difficult. And so for Friday, I have be charitable. And I think one of the failings of the religious authority is the fact that charitable, like before I read the King James Version of the Bible and all the different churches I've been to and the sermons I've heard and everything, the word charitable is like never even mentioned. It's like, um, love seems to be when it talks about love is patient, love is kind, love endureth, love seeketh not her own, love is not easily provoked. But it's not love that's these things, it's charity. Charity suffereth long and is kind. Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up, seeketh not her own, rejoices not in iniquity, rejoices in the truth, is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil. Charity endureth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, beareth all things. Charity never faileth. And so that's what charity is, but love is taking the place of charity. And it talks about there's three things. There's love. Right after that talks about there's love, there's faith, and there's charity. And above all things, above these three is charity. So charity is more important than faith and is more important than love. But for whatever reason, charity isn't even mentioned in like any of the um, in the religious context or the religious situations that I've had in my life. And you think of charity, you think about like giving your money away as like charity, but that is a type of charity as well. But the charity that the Bible talks about is like completely gone away with in like all religious circles, and it's one of the most important things. It's more important than faith. It's more important than love, but it's completely gone away with, and love's like put in instead. But love is something different than charity, and I don't understand how that could have happened. I mean, I do understand how it could happen. I mean, for me right now, I just feel like the religious authority is just kind of the same religious authority that you had in the Old Testament and in the New Testament of Jesus' time too, where you have these, in Jesus' time, you have the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and I think that's just what you have now when it comes to the different churches that you have, the pastors and the preachers that you see now. In most of the Bible, in most of the churches, I think they're just kind of the same as the Sadducees and the Pharisees, and I think they have the same type of um, position that the Sadducees and Pharisees had. There's the religious leaders then, and the same as the religious leaders now, and same as the Old Testament, the religious leaders. I think there's times that they do well, and there's sometimes they do bad. Not all of them are bad, but I think that the majority of the religious authority today is is not good. It's not of God. That's how I feel. And that's my experience with it. And there's definitely could be, there's definitely could be times where they aren't. I think a lot of them are seeking the truth. I think people of the church are seeking the truth, but I think the religious authority right now is just not good. It's just not of God. That's how I feel, and I could be completely wrong, but that's just my interpretation of what's happening. And there could be lots of reasons why I feel like that. It could be jealousy that I have, or envy that I have, or I'm not seeing the complete truth, or just like the experiences that I had are negative, or I'm being deceived in some type of way, or I'm trying to like put them down so that I can gain because I'm trying to take their place. There's like a lot of reasons why that could be possible, but regardless, that's how I feel, and I'm aware of why I might be feeling like that, and so I try not to speak of it too much because I don't want to like be wrong. Like I don't want to lead anyone astray, but I'm trying to find the truth. And I'm trying to seek the truth, and I'm trying to be the best that I could be, what God wants me to be, and to do it, and to live it out and to speak about it accordingly. But at any rate, I hope everyone's doing good. This is the second to last week, and so last week will be 50 weeks, and so we've gone through the whole entire Bible in 1 year, and so that would be pretty cool. And so next year we'll do it again, and I'll just keep doing it and keep trying to grow and keep trying to learn and understand. So hope everyone's doing okay. I hope everyone's doing good. God bless and happy truth seeking.